The moment I opened the office door, I knew I had seen something I was never supposed to see. My hand froze on the handle. My heart stopped. The world around me seemed to disappear as my eyes landed on the woman standing near the large glass windows of the executive office. She was my CEO, and her back was covered in scars. Not small scars, not the kind left behind by ordinary accidents. These were deep, painful marks stretching across her shoulders and down her spine, as if she had survived something unimaginably terrible. For a second, neither of us moved. Then I quietly closed the door and stepped back into the hallway, my pulse racing. I thought that moment would be forgotten. I was wrong. That single accident would change everything I believed about success, strength, and the people we think we know. Before we continue, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us what truly matters. My name is Daniel, and I was a 36-year-old single father trying to survive one day at a time. 3 years earlier, my wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving me alone to raise our 8-year-old daughter, Emma. Since then, every day felt like a battle. I woke up before sunrise, prepared breakfast, got Emma ready for school, worked long shifts, rushed home, helped with homework, cooked dinner, and somehow tried to be both mother and father to a little girl who missed her mom every single day. Money was always tight. Sleep was always short. Hope was often difficult to find. The company where I worked was one of the largest technology firms in the city. To most employees, the CEO, Victoria Hayes, seemed almost untouchable. She appeared in expensive suits, arrived in luxury cars, and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had never faced hardship. Employees admired her success, but rarely felt connected to her. She was the boss. We were workers. That was the entire relationship. At least, that's what I thought. The day I accidentally walked into her office happened during one of the hardest weeks of my life. Emma's school had informed me that her tuition assistance program might be ending. Without that support, I had no idea how I would afford her education. I spent nights staring at spreadsheets, calculating expenses, and realizing there simply wasn't enough money. The pressure was crushing me. That afternoon started like every other exhausting workday in the office. The building buzzed with its usual rhythm of ringing phones, keyboard clicks, hurried footsteps, and quiet conversations echoing through the glass hallways. Employees moved from meeting to meeting, carrying coffee cups and laptops, while trying to survive another stressful week under impossible deadline. I was halfway through organizing quarterly reports when one of the senior managers approached my desk. "Victoria needs these delivered immediately." He handed me several confidential folders stamped with red labels. My stomach tightened slightly. Everyone in the company knew Victoria Hayes. People respected her, feared her, admired her. She was the kind of CEO business magazines loved writing about. Brilliant, ruthless, disciplined, untouchable. At least that was how she appeared to the world. She rarely smiled during meetings, never wasted words, never tolerated excuses. Most employees straightened their posture the second she walked into a room, including me. I checked the clock. Most executives were still attending a finance conference downtown, so I assumed her office would be empty. That made the task easier. I hated speaking to senior leadership whenever possible. Balancing the folders carefully in my arms, I walked down the long executive hallway toward the corner office, overlooking the city skyline. Victoria's office sat at the very end. Massive glass walls, dark wooden door, minimalist elegance. Everything about it reflected control. I knocked lightly, no answer. I waited another moment before pushing the door open. "Ms. Hayes, I just need to leave these." Then I stopped, completely. Victoria stood near the windows with her back turned toward me. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then she shifted slightly, and I saw them. Scars, long scars stretching across her back and shoulder beneath the partially open fabric of her blouse. Not small scars, not accidental scars. These looked violent, painful, permanent. For several seconds, my brain refused to process what I was seeing, because those scars didn't belong to the version of Victoria Hayes everyone knew. They didn't belong to the powerful CEO featured on magazine covers. They didn't belong to the intimidating executive who controlled billion-dollar negotiations without blinking. Those scars belonged to someone who had suffered, someone who had survived something terrible. My hand tightened around the folders accidentally. The sound startled her. She turned immediately. For the first time since I started working there, Victoria Hayes looked genuinely vulnerable. Her eyes widened briefly. Then, just as quickly, the walls returned. The expression disappeared. Cold professionalism replaced it instantly. I looked away immediately. "I'm sorry." My voice came out strained. "I thought the office was empty." Neither of us moved for a moment. Then she calmly adjusted her blouse. "It's fine." Her tone remained steady, controlled. as if nothing had happened. I quickly placed the folders on her desk and turned toward the door. But before leaving, I glanced back once more. For a split second, our eyes met. There was something there I had never seen before. Not anger, not embarrassment, exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion people carry after surviving things they never discuss. I left the office quietly, but the image followed me for the rest of the day. And the next day, and the next. I couldn't stop thinking about those scars. Not because they shocked me, because they changed something. They shattered the carefully crafted image everyone believed about Victoria Hayes. Suddenly, she wasn't just a powerful executive anymore. She was human. Over the following weeks, I started noticing things I had ignored before. Victoria always arrived before everyone else. The office lights in her corner office were usually on before sunrise. Most nights, they remained on long after everyone else had gone home. Sometimes, while leaving late, I would pass empty conference rooms and see her sitting alone, staring silently at the city skyline. No phone, no laptop, no movement, just silent. There was sadness there. Loneliness. Not dramatic loneliness, not visible weakness. Something quieter, the kind people become experts at hiding. Once I started seeing it, I couldn't stop seeing it. Then life completely collapsed for me. My daughter Emma got sick. At first it seemed minor, a fever, fatigue, nothing unusual. Then suddenly, everything escalated. The fever spiked dangerously high. Doctors discovered a serious infection. Within hours, she was admitted to the hospital. Those next few days blurred together into panic, exhaustion, and fear. Machines beeped constantly. Nurses moved in and out of the room. Doctors used words that made my stomach twist. I barely slept, barely ate. I stayed beside Emma's bed every second possible, while trying not to let her see how terrified I really was. Meanwhile, the bills kept growing. Every test, every medication, every overnight stay. Numbers piled higher while my savings disappeared faster than I could process. Eventually, I ran out of paid leave at work. That terrified me almost as much as the hospital itself. As a single father, losing my job wasn't simply inconvenient, it was catastrophic. One evening, I sat alone in the hospital cafeteria, holding a cup of terrible coffee I couldn't afford. My head hurt, my body ached. I stared blankly at unpaid bills spread across the table, wondering how I was supposed to survive any of it. Then my phone rang. Victoria Hayes. My stomach dropped instantly. Of course, this was it. I had missed too much work, too many deadlines, too many meetings. I answered immediately. "I'm sorry, Ms. Hayes. I know I've missed. How is your daughter?" The question stopped me cold. I blinked. "What?" "Emma." Her voice sounded quieter than usual. "How is she doing?" For a second, I couldn't speak. No executive had ever called me personally before. No manager had ever sounded genuinely concerned. I explained Emma's condition as best I could. The infection, the hospital stay, the fear, the bills. At one point, I apologized again for missing work. Victoria interrupted gently. "Focus on your daughter." I stared at the cafeteria floor. "The company will manage." I honestly didn't know how to respond. Kindness felt unfamiliar in moments like that, especially from someone like her. Before ending the call, she said something I never forgot. "Your daughter needs her father more than this company needs an employee." Then she hung up. I sat there staring at my phone long after the screen went dark. Confused, grateful, overwhelmed. Why did she care? The question stayed with me. When Emma finally recovered enough to return home, I went back to work, carrying exhaustion in every part of my body. But I also carried curiosity. A few days later, an assistant informed me Victoria wanted to see me in her office. Immediately, my nerves returned. The same office, the same room where everything changed. I knocked carefully before entering. This time, she sat behind her desk reviewing documents while the city skyline stretched behind her through massive windows. She motioned for me to sit. For several moments, neither of us spoke. Then she surprised me again. "How is Emma feeling?" Not formal, not polite, genuine. That difference mattered. "Better," I answered quietly. "She's finally sleeping through the night again." Victoria nodded slowly. Relief softened her expression for just a second. I swallowed hard, then gathered enough courage to speak honestly. "Thank you," she looked up, "for helping me during all of this." A small silence followed. Then, before I could stop myself, I added something else. "I also need to apologize." Her expression shifted slightly. "The other day in your office, I accidentally saw the scars." My stomach tightened instantly. The room went silent. I immediately regretted mentioning it, but Victoria didn't look angry. Instead, she looked tired, deeply tired. She turned her chair slightly toward the windows overlooking the city. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, finally, she spoke. Years earlier, before building the company, she had escaped an abusive relationship. The violence had lasted years. Isolation, control, fear. One night, the abuse became nearly fatal. The scars on her back came from that night. Hearing her say it aloud felt surreal. The powerful woman everyone feared had once been terrified herself. After escaping, she had nowhere to go. No family support, no money, no protection. She slept in shelters, worked multiple jobs, endured rejection after rejection while trying to rebuild her life from nothing. People underestimated her constantly, dismissed her, ignored her, but she refused to quit. Every setback became motivation. Every humiliation became fuel. Eventually, she built the company entirely on her own. Listening to her story changed something inside me permanently because suddenly, success looked different. Success wasn't perfection. Success was survival. The scars I accidentally saw weren't signs of weakness. They were evidence that she endured unimaginable pain and still kept moving forward. For the first time in years, I understood something important. The strongest people are often the ones carrying the deepest wounds. After that conversation, life felt different. Whenever stress overwhelmed me, I remembered Victoria sleeping in shelters while rebuilding her life. Whenever fear crept in, I remembered that survival itself required courage. Months passed. Then the company announced major restructuring. Panic spread through the office immediately. Rumors of layoffs filled every hallway. Employees whispered nervously during lunch breaks. People feared losing homes, insurance, stability. I feared it too. As a single father, unemployment wasn't an inconvenience, it was disaster. Then, Victoria shocked everyone. Instead of firing employees, she cut executive bonuses, including her own salary. Investors criticized her publicly. Business analysts called the decision reckless. She ignored all of them because protecting families mattered more to her than protecting profits. Watching that changed how I understood leadership forever. Real leaders don't stand above people, they stand beside them. The restructuring succeeded. Jobs were saved, families stayed secure, employee loyalty became stronger than ever. A year later, my life looked completely different. I earned a promotion. Emma thrived in school. For the first time in years, our future felt stable. One afternoon, I sat in a park watching Emma laugh with friends beneath the sunlight. The sound of her laughter filled the air while leaves moved softly through the trees. And suddenly, I thought about Victoria again, about scars hidden beneath expensive clothes, about pain hidden behind power, about loneliness hidden behind success. That's when I finally understood the lesson she unknowingly gave me. The people we admire are often carrying invisible wounds. The people we envy may have survived impossible battles. And sometimes, the strongest person in the room is the one who once felt completely broken. Years later, Emma graduated high school with honors. As I watched her walk across the stage, tears filled my eyes. Life had not been easy. There had been fear, bills, loneliness, exhaustion, but there had also been compassion, strength, second chances, and people who appeared exactly when we needed them most. After the ceremony, my phone buzzed. A message from Victoria. Only a few words, but words I never forgot. Scars don't define us, surviving does. I stood there surrounded by proud families and hopeful futures while those words settled deeply inside me. And I realized something. The most important thing I saw that day outside her office wasn't the scars themselves. It was the strength beneath them. Ever since then, whenever life becomes difficult, I remember one simple truth. Some scars tell stories of pain, but the strongest scars tell stories of survival. And those stories have the power to save other people too.